everyone, it's Alexander Robinson. Welcome to the channel, and this is my review for Predator, Killer of Killers, which is the first of two Predator movies directed by Dan Trachtenberg that are supposed to come out this year, the other being Predator Badlands at the end of the year. Before I tell you what the movie is about, I have to say that this was one of my most anticipated movies of the year. It was actually a tie between this and Predator Badlands for I don't remember which slot off the top of my head, mainly because Dan Trachtenberg did such a great job with Prey back in 2022 and gave the Predator franchise new life after Shane Black essentially killed it with The Predator, the movie that we all thought, oh, Shane Black understands Predator, he's gonna get this right. Nope. So we knew about Predator Badlands, we knew it had Elle Fanning in it, and we also knew it was going to be the franchise's big return to theaters, but Trachtenberg had made a secret Predator movie, and the result ended up being this right here. Basically, what Predator Killer of Killers is an anthology animated film. You have three stories essentially going on that culminate into this big finale. The first story is labeled The Shield. This section of the movie takes place in Scandinavia in the year 841. A group of Vikings basically lead an assault against the Kriviks because the lead Viking wants revenge for the death of her father. As this is going on, a Yaukjaw is basically watching this whole thing playing out, waiting to see who is the more worthy opponent for him to take out. So that's the first section. The second one takes place in 1609 in feudal Japan called The Sword, where you have two brothers who at a very young age fall apart. One of them becomes a ninja and tries to infiltrate his brother's palace to kill him, but once again a Yaukjaw is watching all of this happening and decides to wait and see who the tougher opponent is. And then the last section takes place in World War II called The Bullet and follows a wannabe pilot who basically tries to save several of his fellow soldiers from a predator alien who is basically flying in and trying to take out all these fighters. And all of this culminates in a conclusion where all the warriors are basically cryogenically frozen and put on, I don't know if it's the Predator homeworld, but definitely an arena in another world where they have to fight to the death. That's essentially what this entire movie is, and it is every Predator fan's dream. One of the biggest problems with all the Predator sequels until Prey, outside of them not being all that great, is that they don't really do a whole lot with the mythology, the culture of the Yaukjaw aliens, and they can't help but fall into the same formula and rehashing elements from the original Arnold Schwarzenegger film. Prey was the only film in the franchise until now where it could stand on its own. It brought something unique to the series, but also gave us exactly what we want to see in a Predator movie, and Predator Killer of Killers definitely adds on to that. It is violent as hell. Because this is an animated movie, the franchise is able to do things that the live action movies just couldn't do, like be over-the-top grotesque with its violence. There are several moments in this movie where people are being brutally killed by other people or the predators that made me go, whoa, but then I had to think, wait a minute, why am I shocked? I'd be disappointed if the violence wasn't crazy and over the top. And it is, but it's also fun to watch because it's so crazy. It's enjoyable to watch these people get dismembered and killed in graphic ways. It's not upsetting like when you watch Aliens vs. Predator Requiem and sit there going, this sucks. Like this is just not fun to watch at all. Now, admittedly, the animation isn't flawless. There are some moments in the movie where the animation movement on characters is very slow, very choppy, and unlike Prey, watching this movie made me go, yeah, I can see why this didn't get a theatrical release. I mean, outside the fact that nobody's going to release an R-rated animated Predator movie in theaters expecting it to be a hit, but also the animation is not really worthy of a big screen release. But it's the art style that makes this as gorgeous to look as it is. It's obviously following in the footsteps of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse in terms of its art style. And also the fact that this is an anthology movie allows the scale to be grander than any other Predator movie beforehand. Because while certain Predator movies have made good money, they're not box office juggernauts. So I can imagine they didn't want to invest these massive scale sets to a Predator movie, especially one that's on streaming exclusively. So making this both an animated film and an anthology film allows us to have several different locations, several different set pieces, and just make them as grand as possible. There is a lot going on to this movie where it is just a ton of fun. It's really well made in terms of its action, its gore, and just the overall concept of where it takes the Predator franchise, that I wish the characters were a lot better. Now, one of the reasons why being an anthology movie kind of hurts it is that we don't get to spend a whole lot of time with these characters. In the S.H.I.E.L.D. segment, a lot of the character development is kind of done through exposition, where the warrior Viking is basically telling her son the history of her vengeance and how her father died. And because it's done through exposition, we don't naturally feel any sympathy for this character. There is sympathy near the end of the segment, which, even though I'm spoiling a few things here and there, I won't say exactly. When it comes to the sword segment, I actually liked this more and found myself more invested in the characters, mainly because it's all done through visual storytelling. There are only 2 moments in this segment where the characters are speaking Japanese. The rest of the time, there is no dialogue whatsoever, and that's the entire segment. It was through visual storytelling that I was able to be more invested in the characters and the sword. And when we get to the bullet segment, it's well done, but I don't exactly, again, care for these characters. Not because they're bad, but I just didn't find enough time was spent getting to know them before we get into the Predator action. Also, this might be a little bit of a nitpick, but throughout the entire S.H.I.E.L.D. segment, all the characters are speaking English despite the fact that they're Scandinavian. Yet when the main character of the S.H.I.E.L.D. is brought into the big finale, she's speaking Scandinavian throughout the entire thing. That's a little bit of a nitpick, but when you consider that no character in the sword segment is speaking English, they're just speaking Japanese, you kind of wish for a little consistency between the language barriers, but maybe that's a nitpick, and I'm sure a lot of people might not even think about that. But despite those criticisms, I really dug Predator Killer of Killers. This is not a groundbreaking movie per se, but within the Predator franchise, I think it's the perfect example of how to do a fanboy movie correctly, because I've seen a lot of fanboy movies where they're just kind of gushing over what came before them. Yes, these movies often do give fans exactly what they want to see, but usually it's at the cost of story or innovation. This is a fanboy movie done right, because it gives us stuff that we've always wanted to see in a Predator movie, but does it in a way where it expands the mythology. It gives us something new and doesn't regurgitate what came before. In fact, I don't think there's even a moment in this movie where anybody quotes lines from the original Predator. You can hear some of Alan Silvestri's music cues, sure, but throughout most of this movie, it's its own thing. So for that, I easily have to say worth seeing in her lifetime. Had I cared a little more about the characters and if there was a little more emotional depth to them, I would have said get off your ass and go see it right now. But as it stands, this is a really great entry in the Predator series. It's the 3rd best, I think, after Prey and the original Predator. And knowing that Dan Trachtenberg really has his finger on the pulse of what this franchise is supposed to be, I am more than excited for Predator Badlands later this year. So yeah, this is a lot of fun. I don't think it's going to make my best of the year list, but we'll see how the rest of the year turns out. It's not as great as Prey, but it's still a damn good Predator movie regardless. And there you go, that's my review for Predator Killer of Killers. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this review, and I want to give a special thank you to my subscribers and YouTube members right over here, including our newest member, Lassiter Factor. Thank you so much for becoming a YouTube member. And for those of you who aren't members, if you want to help to financially support the channel, you can do so via YouTube memberships for as little as $1.99 a month. But until next time, I want to know what you guys think about Predator Killer of Killers. Whatever your opinions are, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to get notifications. If you want to find me elsewhere on the internet, you can find me on these social media platforms and my theme park and travel channel right here on YouTube. I'll see you guys in the next video, but until then, have a good day and take care of yourselves.